Hey, it's Dr. Lori Barr. This show is the second half of my interview with Dr. Nii-Daako Darko, trauma surgeon, podcaster, and humanitarian. In the first part of my interview, we talked about Dr. Nii's training and his journey along the traditional medical career pathway. This episode explores his outside-the-box business model and his overseas medical work in Africa. Can't wait for you to hear it. Thanks for joining us.
You never know who's being inspired by what you put out there. Whatever it is, a blog, a podcast episode, a video, whatever it may be, someone is watching and someone is paying attention, and they may not download it the first week. It may be a month from now, but being patient and just being true to your passion and putting it out there really can do a lot for someone.
Welcome to the Doctor's Mentor Show. If you believe that medicine is an industry and not a profession, if you enjoy submitting complex reimbursement claims, or you would do another residency just for fun, be advised, you're about to be offended. You should probably leave now.
All this talk about mentoring doctors is ridiculous. I thought doctors learned to do everything better than everyone else the first year of medical school. At least that's the way they act.
If you love assisting patients with vitality breakthroughs, if the right to practice medicine without interference is important, and you want expert tips for practice freedom and profits to support your epic life, welcome aboard and prepare to be blown away. The Doctor's Mentor Show starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Lori Barr.
Today's episode is sponsored by Profitable Physician Podcasters. If you'd like to become one, go to podcastdocs.com. That's podcastdocs.com for more information.
Today's topic:
legacy.
You focus on the podcast and you both write the blog. Your wife writes the blog.
She's more of the writer. So the reason why I podcast is I hate writing. It takes me forever to write. So I'd rather just say it. She's a really good writer. So me and her talk about the concept and the idea, and then she goes and types it up, makes it happen.
Whenever you have a blog or a podcast, you've created your own broadcasting platform, your own publication platform, and you've set yourself up to be a periodical creator and publisher and syndicator of information if other people want to use it. That takes a habit. It takes a habit to create episodes. It takes a habit to create blog posts. It takes a habit to get new ideas and to turn them into something that's interesting for your group that you're serving. How has developing that habit changed you two as doctors?
It's kind of helped our creativity to come out more. There's really no such thing as writer's block because now we're just always writing stuff down. We're putting it out. We're not worried about what other people think. That's the biggest thing. We stopped worrying about what other people think and we just put our information out there. And for me, my show would come out when I first came out in April of 2016. The show would maybe one episode or two episodes a month, maybe. There'd be times where maybe I wouldn't put out an episode in 2 months, 3 months. And once I got really consistent with things, the show really took off. People were expecting the show to come out. But also at the same time, I noticed that my creativity was just like, I'm always thinking about really cool things that I can talk about, this person I can interview, what this can go. And I thought that making myself put out shows more often, that I would put more pressure on myself. In essence, it kind of has, but it's been good pressure. I'm really at a point now where I'm actually thinking about putting more pressure on myself and shifting to maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday type of episodes.
Baby.
We'll see. That is kind of where I'm at, where I'm just like, man, let's just continue to push ourselves and see what happens. Like with her, we're going to pick up with Keeping Up with the Darkos, with the blogging, and we're going to try to shift to more videos and just kind of talking about our daily life. And we're just going to say, let's push ourselves and see what happens. And people are expecting this, and let's go with it. I think the biggest thing is, once we got over the fear of what other people would think, it really is a really freeing, liberating experience to just say, I'm just going to put my information out there and see what happens and see what, my legacy for me is just putting the information out there and giving a voice to people who don't normally have a voice, giving people a seat at the table who don't normally get a seat at the table. I'm only 50 episodes in, but I can't wait to see when we're at like episode 200 or 300. So.
Yeah. It's so exciting. I share that same, everything you just expressed. That's why I do my show too. just if you hear back from one person and you know
Yes.
that you've changed just a little bit of something, you've only shifted a way they think 2 degrees, but that may be the only 2 degrees they need to start a whole different direction in their life. And it's just so amazing. Now, go ahead.
Really quickly, I did an episode where I was on the phone with LegalZoom because I was actually incorporating Docs Outside the Box and doing some other things. Customer service rep was asking me questions about Docs Outside the Box, and I kept telling her about it's a podcast and I need an LLC and I want to start taking on possible sponsorship and blah, blah, blah. So then she started asking me specifically about it. And she actually is taking a course at LegalZoom, like professional development. And she was going to use my podcast as a case study for the rest of her and the students in the class. And I was like, huh. And she said, yeah, because I was literally going to quit that class because I felt like it really wasn't doing anything for me. But not until I spoke to you and you told me, she's not even a physician, and you told me what you're doing and giving voices to people who don't normally have a voice. Like, you've given me so much more energy that I want to really go back to this class and let's study you and let's see if I can really take things to another level. And that's when I really realized exactly what you said. Like, even if the show just reaches one person, that's enough for me. You never know who's being inspired by what you put out there. Whatever it is, a blog, a podcast episode, a video, a vlog, whatever it may be, someone is watching and someone is paying attention, and they may not download it the first week. It may be a month from now, but being patient and just being true to your passion and putting it out there really can do a lot for someone.
I think one of the most fun things about the podcast is to look at the stats and to see where in the world your message is going. Like, my husband and I geek out over this at least once a week, where we pull up the show stats and we say, gosh, I wonder what those people in Switzerland are doing right now. Or,
I know
look,
exactly
there's somebody
saying, yeah.
in Sri Lanka. What does that mean? And it's just so exciting to dream about those people too.
It's funny, as you're saying that, I'm looking up my stats right now to see the countries right now. And I agree. Like, first of all, how did they find your show, right?
Right. I know.
That's the thing. Like, how do they find your show? And then what do they think? Like, for me right now, I'm looking at it, and like, there's 9 people in Russia who listen to my show, 2 people in China. There's a whole bunch of people in Australia, and the Philippines. And I just wonder, like, how do you find out about this stuff, right? And it really comes back to that moment, or to that point what I was saying before. Like, you don't know who's listening.
That's right.
In this age of technology and the internet. Someone halfway across the world could really find inspiration from what you're saying. It's really fascinating.
And so check your stats there. Do you have anybody in Iceland yet?
Let's see.
We might have to do some cross promotion here.
I have one person in Iceland.
Me too. We probably have the same person.
Maybe one person in Iceland.
Yeah, me too.
But I got 91 in Norway.
Yeah, I've got more in Norway too. So that is so funny. So let's talk about, it sounds like your first step that y'all took to freedom was to A, recognize you were in a situation that was untenable, and B, decide that chipping away at the student debt was the way to break those chains.
Yes.
What does your whole freedom model look like? I mean, when you're assisting other doctors who are trying to break out of those chains, how do you paint that picture in case they've never seen it before?
So the way in which I paint it is I paint it as be comfortable in the non-traditional, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because me and my wife are actually relishing it. We're actually thriving in it. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. We work here in Central PA. We live here for 2 weeks, and then we go back home to New Jersey and we stay with my parents for 2 weeks. And during that time, we're able to not only spend time with my family, we're able to spend time with her family that's in Long Island. And we do this ebb and flow of 2 weeks here and 2 weeks there. And people are like, you guys are all over the place. And it's like, no, we're happy. Because what would have happened in the past is I would have been working at this place, however far away it is. And I would have to schedule in time to see family. If there was a funeral that happened, I would not be able to leave. So for us, like, being comfortable being in this non-traditional path has really helped us thrive. So what I tell people is, look, you don't have to take it as extreme as we do. But one thing that you have to understand, though, is that if you understand that playing by your rules and not being worried about what other people think, and just understanding that, okay, it's great to be a physician. It's great to take care of people, but it's also great to say that I love myself also. And I think one of your previous guests have said that. I've learned that from Dr. Dreon Birch, that it's okay to say that I love myself also. I think that is probably one of the best things that you can do for yourself to get yourself on this path to just saying, you know what? I enjoy being a doctor, but I'm not just a doc. And that's my hashtag that I use for the show. So that's what whenever we talk to people, who are either employed or not employed or going through student loan debt and just need the inspiration to kind of get going, that's the type of model that we tell people, is that, look, we are playing life on our own terms right now. If it doesn't work, then we can say, hey, listen, we tried. And what's the worst that's going to happen? We go back to being employed. So what? But right now, we are going to ride this out as long as possible. People look at us cross-eyed. When are you buying this house? When are you going to get this car? Like, no, we're good. We're excellent right now. We have a plan where we want to retire, in our 50s, and then we want to kind of travel the world, and we want to continue to affect people's lives. And it's only going to work in our way. We can't really allow other people, the Joneses or Dr. Jones's opinion of us, to really affect that.
I see a Mercedes or an Airstream in your future.
It's probably used.
But I'm just saying, with the mobile lifestyle and with being broadcasters, basically, that might be something to think about. That might be fun.
Yeah. I think it'd be really fun. I think if we could get to a point where we can afford an Airstream, that'd be awesome. I think what we're starting to look at is, it's funny, like we went to a movie really quickly and I saw this Tesla right in front of me, and I love tech. So I want a Tesla really bad. And I was talking to my wife and I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to ever get a Tesla. And she started laughing and she was like, why? I was like, look, the way how I look at the math, if I get a Tesla, that's going to push us back like maybe 5, maybe even 6 years from our goal of retiring. And she's like, yeah, that's actually true. So that's one of the things that's kind of how I think, I guess, in that mindset of, I have to be able to do a better job of balancing what I really want with where I want to be in 5 or 10 years. But, it's tough. You are in so much debt to kind of go back to a life of kind of wanting what you want when you want it. It's difficult, but also at the same time, I wouldn't trade places in the world where I was 3 years ago. So leave it to you like that.
Awesome. That just hearing you, the exuberance in your voice, the way you are able to brighten up the people you visit and astonish them with your freedom and flexibility, that gives energy. And a good show always gives energy to the listeners. I mean, that's what people come back for. It's an energy boost.
You're right.
And you guys obviously have a little energy generator that you've created that's fueled by your love and passion and is just knocking it out for everybody to enjoy. And I just, again, want to honor you for that. Now, you have a book that's out. Let's talk about your book. So,
the book. To be honest, I can't believe I came out with a book, but yeah, I have a book.
So, how did that happen? You said you don't like to write. Explain how you made that easy for yourself.
I'm very open and honest. I ended up getting some coaching with one of your previous guests, Dr. Dreon Birch, and he really helped me to kind of understand from a creative standpoint and even from an economic standpoint, what were some of the things that were holding me back, right? Even though I was trailblazing my own path, I still had some things that were holding me back. The thing that I talked to him about that I really felt passionate about was podcasting and talking. He's like, well, have you ever considered writing about that? And I was like, yeah, but I suck at writing. So right there was one of my big shackles or barriers to doing something that I've always wanted to do, which was write. He helped me to get over that. And he helped me to devise a plan, a formula to kind of write a book that would help people, but also at the same time that I could write while still being a trauma surgeon and get it out in a really expedient time. And for me, it came down to literally just kind of writing everything that I know about podcasting and how I felt about it and the process that I went through to starting a podcast and, what I've used to kind of help other people start a podcast and just write and then, edit afterwards. And once I did that, I got that process out. We went with a publishing company. The next step was literally doing a virtual launch. And this is something for me that was one of the most powerful things that I've ever experienced in my life. I thought that I was going to do my book launch, which I did on Facebook Live, to crickets. And at the end of my book launch, I found that there was literally 1,000 people had viewed it in that hour. People from my home country of Ghana were watching, people from various other portions in the world were watching. And this is not literally me bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm just letting the listeners know the power of the physician community, the power of just in general, when you put something out there, people in general will support you. And once I was able to get my mindset right, months before that, I was literally still shocked to see how many people came to support me in my book and how many people still write me and say, hey, look, like I really do take your book and I keep it in my white coat because it's a very small pocket guide. I keep it in my white coat and I read it, and it's helped me to kind of start my podcast. And it's just one of those things where, I really want people to understand that sometimes you may not have the answers to everything and you may have to get help. And for me to be able to get a professional coach really was another like life-changing moment for me.
That's a great testament to the fact that you're open to learning more. Mm-hmm. And, I think the people who find themselves stuck are the ones who do three things that you've mentioned when we've had our conversation here today. One is they pay more attention to the voices outside of their head that they view as voices of authority than they do to what's in their heart. And number two, they either think they have to do it all by themselves, maybe they don't think they're worth the investment, or they're ignorant of how easy it is when you ask for help.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's much more fun. It's much more easygoing when you have a team to support you to get through a process you've never been through before. That's awesome. I want to go back to what you said earlier about when you and Renee stopped ignoring the voices outside of you that when you stopped paying attention to that and just did your own thing, that's when everything started to flow.
Yes.
This may sound weird. I'm not sure I'm wording it right. You talked about Huxtable earlier. Mm-hmm. And when I was little, Bill Cosby did some stand-up comedy and had some stories. And there was always this voice of authority that he did.
Yeah.
Do you know the voice I'm talking about?
Yes.
And, it's very, I don't do a good male voice, right. But he definitely mimicked that voice of authority. And every single one of us has that voice of authority in our head that comes out and says, what do you mean you're going to write a book? There's no way you're going to write a book this year. Or what do you mean somebody's going to come listen to you when you launch on Facebook Live? Right?
Dr. Lori, you're like hitting it on the nail. Like it is like seriously, like what you're saying is kind of the thoughts that I have in my mind. You're right. You're absolutely right about that.
I want to plant a seed in there that may assist with that I've noticed the more I've broadcast as a podcaster, eventually you become the voice of authority in your head instead of that voice. Yeah. Because that's the voice of your past. That's the voice of where you were when you were small. It's where you couldn't see the possibility. And the more that you're helping other people see possibility and showing them the path to possibility, it gets easier to trust yourself.
That's a really, really good point. Excellent point. I love it.
So let's
mic drop. Dr. Lori, mic drop right there. Can I steal that from my show, actually?
Absolutely. You can do anything you want with this. I'm here to support you.
I love it. I love it.
Let's talk about Ghana and what you've done over there.
Yeah, so me and my wife, we are involved with the International Healthcare Volunteers. It's an organization that started about 15 years ago, and we do medical humanitarian work in Ghana. It first initially started off as women's health only, gyne, urogyne type things. And then slowly but surely it's expanded to, in essence, all specialties. So obviously I'm there and I'm doing, thyroids, gallbladders, and hernias. My wife is doing, everything below the waist, so to speak.
On the women.
So to speak, right, for the women. And, we have internal medicine physicians who come with us. We even have volunteers like, teenagers and college students who just want to come and get an immersion type of experience in Ghana. For me, it's been an amazing experience for a couple of reasons. One, it's as close to as a professional reboot as you can get. And I don't know if the listeners understand what I mean by that is, as a trauma surgeon, I'm dealing with a certain patient population, and it's a very stressful situation. But to kind of go back to a country or go to an environment where people are literally willing to wait 24 hours to get care from you. It doesn't matter how long they have to wait. They want to see you, and they're very grateful to see you. It is, to me, kind of brings it back to the basics of how I've always wanted to practice medicine and the type of patient population that I want to work with. Not to say that, I poo-poo on the population of the United States. I'm not saying that. But trust me, anybody who's done medical mission work or humanitarian work definitely understands what I'm saying in terms of this, professional reboot. But also at the same time, I learned so much from them. Actually, to tell you the truth, I think me and my wife probably learn more from the physicians and the medical professionals in these other countries than we bring over there. Obviously, we bring some technology, we bring staplers and all these different things. But in terms of what they're able to do with so little resources, or it's really phenomenal what they're able to do. And I've taken a lot of those techniques and brought them back to the United States. It's made me a better surgeon. It's made me a better physician. And then last but not least, that's where I'm from. All my family's there. In the United States, it's just, in essence, my immediate family. I didn't have cousins or aunts or uncles. So for me, always being able to go back and spend time with family was always amazing. But now, nowadays, when I'm going back, I see them, I can see that they smile and there's a little sense of pride, almost like the prodigal son coming back in the United States, and you're helping people who really need it. So those three things are really the big things that are the reasons why we come back. My wife can say the same thing. She's from the country of Haiti, so she's been able to do some medical mission work and humanitarian work in Haiti. Obviously, the biggest time was with the earthquake that occurred, I think in 2010, I believe. We really enjoy the work that we do in Ghana.
That's awesome. If someone's listening and they want to go a little deeper into your message of hope and inspiration and no holds barred, here's what it takes, you want to do this, this is all you have to do, what's their first step?
So I'm going to say something that's very profound. When I was thinking about what to say, I was like, man, I got to look up all these great quotes. I just tell everybody something that is so simple. You're going to be like, wait, what? And it is literally just start. Seriously, just start. And what I mean by that is just start. Just whatever you want to do, stop worrying about the end product. Fall in love with the process. Stop falling in love with the prize. What I mean by that is just take a step. If you fail, so what? If the podcast that you want to come out with doesn't have the best website, or the equipment that you want is not available, who cares? Just keep going and get better. You'll get better. You'll get better. You'll get better. Just start. Stop worrying about the end product and just fall in love with the process. Fall in love with starting with really crappy equipment, or being a bad writer or being a bad vlogger, and then just kind of take the audience through your process of getting better and better and better and better. Trust me, I've learned that I've been able to get so much more feedback and so much more positive feedback just because I've been able to tell people that, look, one of my biggest fears is public speaking. And that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. And it's the truth. One of my biggest fears is public speaking. The reason why I do this is because I want to get over it. People are like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. So I've learned to kind of go through this process of, I'm going to drag you guys with me. You're going to grow with me. You're going to see how I was such a horrible interviewer. And hopefully now I'm just a mediocre interviewer. And eventually, maybe 100 episodes in, I'll be a great interviewer. But I think that process of just starting and allowing people to kind of see your faults and see how you get better, I think that's how you build community. And that's ultimately what I want.
Awesome. Dr. Nii-Daako, wait now.
I'll do it. Nii-Daako Darko. But just call me Nii. It's all good.
Nii. So if you would like to become one of the Knights of Nii.
Oh, yeah, from Monty Python. I get that a lot when I was growing up.
If you would like to learn more, go out there and subscribe to this podcast right away. Docs Outside the Box. Even if you're not a doctor, there's fun stuff for you to learn and fun stuff for you to master because, after all, us doctors, we're humans too. Guess what? Yeah. We really are. Right? And, that's what this is all about. It's the human experience and laughing at ourselves and moving forward. And then your book, where can we find your book?
So you can find my book on Amazon. The name of the book is 321 Podcast. It's the beginner's guide to becoming a brand. Well, excuse me, the beginner's guide to developing brand authority through podcasting. I got to know my book better, right? But it's on Kindle or it's on Amazon. You can get it either in a Kindle format or obviously you can get it in a paperback format also.
Yep. I've got it on my Kindle now, and it's an awesome, awesome collection. Addition to my collection. Yes.
Thank you very much for getting that.
When you launched, I got it.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Were you there? Wow.
I wasn't there. Look, I don't know if you know, but our radiology practice is one of the busiest in North America. So When I'm at work, I'm like at work.
You're at work.
And so, no, I was not there that day. And I was so happy to see that you launched it, because we need more voices in our space to help spread the word that creativity breeds freedom and joy. And that's what we all are here for. It's not to do more hours pacing the hospital floor.
Thank you. Yes, I love it. That's what I'm talking about, Dr. Lori Barr. I really appreciate you saying that. That is, in essence, why I wrote the book and why I started the podcast. You hit it right on the nail. Awesome.
You have been such a great guest. I hope we can do this again really soon.
Let's do it again. I need to get you on my show. Can you come on my show, please?
Absolutely. Happy to. Anytime.
Your next step.
If you're ready to get your message out through podcasting and become a profitable professional who podcasts, or a profitable physician podcaster, please go to Podcast Docs, that's PODCASTDOCS.com, so you can get some documents that will help you start your podcast right away, and know when our next live event is for profitable professionals who are podcasting. So go to podcastdocs.com.
There's more to explore at thedoctorsmentor.com.
Are you stopping at a hospital? Hello? Don't you know that hospitals are one of the sickest places on the planet? Don't touch anything in there and get out as fast as you can.